Hello and welcome to Lantern Lane Stories. Tonight's story is Little Maurice and the Hill of Painters. Hello, little friend. Are you cozy under the blanket? A breeze drifts across the rooftops of Paris. The sky turns the color of warm honey. There is a hill in Paris called Montmartre. The name means the Hill of the Martyrs. It is small but very steep. Tonight we are going to climb it slowly. Soft light from old gas lamps glows yellow on the stones. The cobblestones smell of evening rain. A black cat curls on a doorstep, eyes half closed. In a window above, someone peels an apple. In the year 1883, on a winter night much like this, a baby boy was born here. His name was Maurice Utrillo. When he grew up, he became one of the most famous painters of Montmartre. He painted these little streets again and again. He painted them so people all over the world would know them. But tonight, he is still very small. Let us tiptoe back in time and meet him. Little Maurice lived in a tall, narrow building on a quiet street. The walls were painted pale yellow, like fresh butter. The wooden stairs creaked when anyone climbed them. His grandmother Madeline kept the apartment warm with a small iron stove. The stove smelled of coal and roasted chestnuts. Maurice, come here. Madeline held out a soft brown blanket. Don't catch a cold by the window. But Maurice loved the window most of all. It looked out over a sea of rooftops. On clear days, he could see all the way across Paris. He could see the river Seine like a silver ribbon. He could see chimney smoke curling into the sky. He could see gray doves landing on tiles. His mother was Suzanne Valadon. She was a young painter with paint on her fingers and paint in her hair. She had a small studio in the same building. The studio smelled of linseed oil and turpentine with a hint of coffee. Maurice loved that smell. To him, it was the smell of mother. Susan would tilt her head and look at her canvas. Then she would dip a brush in blue, then in white, then in a tiny dot of yellow. "Mammon, what are you painting?" "A cat, a very lazy cat. Can you see him?" Maurice climbed onto a wooden stool. He squinted at the canvas. A round shape with two pointed ears slowly appeared. "Oh, there he is." Susan smiled and tapped his nose with the dry end of the brush. Painters have to look very slowly, until the picture wakes up. Maurice nodded seriously. He thought about that for a long time. Outside, soft snow began to fall on the tiles. On Sunday afternoons, Maurice held Madeline's hand and they walked. The streets of Montmartre rose and fell like gentle waves. Some streets had stairs instead of slopes. Maurice counted each stair as he climbed. 1, 2, 3, 4. He always lost count somewhere around 20. Then he giggled and started again. There were old windmills on the hill. Long ago, the windmills had ground wheat into flour. Now most of them stood quiet, their wooden arms still. But one windmill had become a friendly café called the Moulin de la Galette. People danced inside on summer evenings. Maurice peeked through the open door. He saw warm lamplight, polished floors, and a man playing accordion. A waiter carried a tray of small almond cakes called galettes. The cakes were named after the windmill. "Grandmother, can we try one?" "Maybe next Sunday, my dear. Today our pockets are empty." She squeezed his small hand kindly. He pressed his nose against a bakery window. The bread inside smelled buttery and golden. A serious pigeon waddled along the curb. A tabby cat watched it from under a bench. Higher up the hill, something enormous was being built. It was a great white church with rounded domes. "That is going to be the basilica of Sacré-Cœur," Madeline said. "They have been building it for many years." "Will it ever be finished?" "Yes, but not soon. Big things take time." Maurice tipped his head back to see the scaffolding. Workers in blue jackets moved like little ants up high. The white stone glowed soft pink in the late sun. He thought it looked like a giant cake on top of the hill. A bell from a smaller chapel rang once, then twice. The wind smelled of wood smoke and faraway pine trees. Back home, Susan gave him an old wooden board. She gave him 3 small jars of paint, blue, white, and gray. She gave him a soft, thick brush. "Paint whatever you remember from today." Maurice closed his eyes for a moment. He remembered the windmill, quiet against the sky. He remembered the bakery window full of golden bread. He remembered the white domes growing slowly on the hill. He dipped his brush in white. He made a wobbly church with 2 domes. He dipped his brush in blue. He made a sky behind it. He dipped his brush in gray. He made cobblestones at the bottom. The picture was a little crooked, the roof tilted to one side. The sky had a thumbprint in the corner. but Suzanne crouched down and looked at it carefully. "Maurice, that is your hill. Does it look like the real one?" "It looks like the way you saw it. That is even better." She pinned his small painting on the wall by the stove. The paint dried slowly through the evening. Many, many years later, Maurice would grow up. He would paint Montmartre hundreds of times. He would paint the white church when it was finally finished. He would paint the small streets with their leaning chimneys. He would paint the bakery, the windmill, and the snow. People in museums in Paris, New York, and Tokyo would stop to look. They would say, "There is the hill. There is Montmartre." But that was still far away. Tonight, little Maurice ate warm onion soup with his grandmother. He climbed into a bed with a thick wool blanket. The window glass was cold, but the room was kind. His mother kissed his forehead. Her cheek smelled faintly of paint. Outside, gas lamps blinked one by one like sleepy stars. The snow kept falling on the rooftops. It softened every corner of the city. Somewhere, the River Seine slipped along quietly. Somewhere, a baker pulled his last loaf from the oven. Somewhere, a window closed with a tiny click. Maurice's eyelids grew heavy. He saw, in his mind, his small white domes against the dark blue sky. He smiled, and his breath grew slow and deep. And so, Paris also slowly, slowly fell asleep. Good night.